This video was recorded in front of a live virtual audience.
Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today we are going to be reviewing a very dear perfume to my heart, a colossus of the 80s, none other than Obsession by Calvin Klein. This is a huge factice bottle that came out in the mid-80s to late 80s. It's been preserved in the Fashion Bunker archives for many occasions, but in particular for this one, just to be able to enhance the experience of this review. Before we get to the review, I would like to thank all my subscribers who have already subscribed. If you haven't though, and do like my content, please consider subscribing to my channel today, and also push the notifications button to get notified whenever new videos get uploaded. You can also consider becoming a member. You could join my channel today, become a member, but you can also join me on Patreon, superdacob, all spelled together. Thank you so much for that, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank my members and my patrons for supporting the channel. Without you, things like these incredible factices would not be possible to archive, literally. But also, I would like to say that this video is being filmed live, so I do have a virtual audience in the chat room right next to me, and we are going to discuss Obsession by Calvin Klein together. Now, let me just... this bottle was the original release of Obsession, meaning this shape, this constellation, this, they call it today the kidney-shaped bottle, was the first cologne splash that was released in 1985. The incredibly talented perfume bottle designer behind this fragrance is Pierre Dinant. Pierre Dinant is also the designer, the bottle designer who created Opium. He also created Moschino's first fragrance, the Couture fragrance, and many other incredible fragrances. I think he also developed and designed the Dolce & Gabbana perfume bottle. A master of his craft. And in fact, you're going to see as we go through this review of Obsession, the bottles and the masterful artistry that this artist really, the artistry this artist used to create these bottles. I'm repeating myself. Anyway, so this is the kidney. I'm going to put it to the side here because it's really heavy. It's very, very heavy and I don't want it to fall. The eau de cologne. So what do we got here? Jean Guichard. Jean Guichard is the nose behind Obsession. He's also the nose behind Lulu and also the nose behind Eden, amongst other incredible creations of the 80s and 90s. But when Obsession hit the world, first it hit the US market in 1985. It was released as an eau de cologne. Together with eau de cologne, which I don't have here, but together with eau de cologne, this little fella was released, the Pure Perfume. So in the first release of Obsession, we have 1985 eau de cologne, splash and spray, and the Pure Perfume splash and spray. This is a 7 ml Pure Perfume. Pierre Dinant designed this bottle as well. Look at this heavy glass, this thick, heavy glass. It's so beautiful. It's like a pebble from the future, from the past. It's as if, it's literally as if it came out of a science fiction movie, you know, an alien movie, or a Star Wars movie. It has the shape of Jabba's palace from Star Wars, from Tatooine. It's very sandy. It's very reminiscent of sand. In fact, even the packaging has that sandy beige color because it reminds us of the beach, of dunes, of sand, of amber, of warmth, of heat, of musk. It is a very complex, very complicated fragrance. So, a couple of years after 1985, back in the day, you have to understand, releases weren't global immediately. Something that was famous in America took its while to come to Europe. And by the time that Calvin Klein, which by the way, in the 80s was distributing and producing its own fragrances, by the time that it hit Europe, the fragrance concentration changed. So what happened in Europe, instead of releasing the eau de cologne, Europe saw the release of the eau de parfum, which is, I mean, I don't have eau de cologne here with me, but I have smelled eau de cologne and I do have it, just not here with me at the moment. It smelled the same as the eau de parfum release in Europe, late 80s. Then the eau de parfum release in Europe conglomerated itself with the eau de cologne release in America, and they uniformed the release worldwide to an eau de parfum release worldwide. So the eau de cologne was then, in name, discontinued. So what were we left with? We were left with an eau de parfum, which is this, and the pure perfume, which was shortly after that discontinued. So the pure perfume is very rare to find these days because it went into production for only a short period of time. Oh, wait, what's going on here? Oh, yeah. Okay. So, sorry, I was just checking the chat. So you have to understand that the cologne and the eau de parfum are actually the same, even though there shouldn't be. We're talking about the 80s. Since the 80s and the 90s, the eau de parfum has been reformulated several times. It passed distribution from Calvin Klein Cosmetics to Unilever, from Unilever to Coty. The Unilever version, if one of you have it now at home, you can check at the bottom of your bottle on the sticker. It's going to say who the distributor is. Unilever did not do a good job with reformulating Obsession. It made it very spicy, peppery in the opening, quite aggressive, while Coty did a relatively good job at reformulating Obsession because it gave back its warmth, its ambery, musky warmth that the original used to have. Now, if you look at the pure perfume, after so many years, it did become a little bit darker, but this is more or less the original ambery color of the essence of Obsession. And we're going to test the pure perfume and as well as the eau de parfum today. Before we spray it on, one more thing to note. The first edition of Obsession, a lot of people get confused about this. In the American eau de cologne, not even eau de cologne, it was just called cologne. In the American cologne concentration of Obsession, the lid could not be taken off. The lid was incorporated with the bottle. It was not this translucent-ish dark coffee brown color. It was actually this color, not this color. So this pebbly bottle was labeled as a cologne. It had this color stopper on it, and the stopper was not removable, but it had something very interesting that Pierre Dinan designed, and that was super bizarre. No other perfume bottle ever had that before, and I'm sad that they do not produce them anymore that way. I think it just costs a lot more. So you could not detach this. This was all attached, and here, not in the front, but on the side of the bottle, was a slit, was a cut out piece of plastic that you would press in, and then on the other side, here would be the nozzle, the sprayer. So actually, the whole mechanism was incorporated in this top of the cocoon, which was this ambery, caramel ambery color. So you would spray into the bottle, and the spray would come out from here. Now they've modified it to the wider, the broader part of the bottle actually has it. Now you can turn the sprayer however you want, but this is detachable, and it does look cheaper this way. But if you have this bottle at home right now, and you're thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Take it in your hand. Spraying it like this is not as comfortable. Spraying it like this is amazingly it is so organic. And that's what Pierre Dinan actually did. Designed a bottle like a pebble that fits so naturally into your hands. So holding it on the side actually makes more sense than holding it frontally, like this. This is so natural. It just feels like it was designed to be held this way and then sprayed in this way, and then you just spray it like that. Anyway, that bottle was discontinued relatively soon. In fact, older versions of the colognes already had the detachable lid. And then all of the eau de parfums. I think maybe the first batch of eau de parfums in Europe still had that integrated sprayer, but then pretty soon they discontinued them for an ambery color lid with a gold circle around it. And then after that, this kind of coffee brown, full-on brown with no gold ring around it came out. So we're going to be reviewing the currently available formulation of Obsession, which is the Coty distribution of Obsession. My batch number is 9043, and this one is made in France. I have read in the chat by my viewers that somebody has found a Coty made in Spain Obsession fragrance. I guess that might be maybe the newer batches. But let's spray it on together. Here we go. Let's review it together. I'm going to do 3 sprays. Oh, wow. You know what is so fascinating about this one? And again, for now, we're reviewing the Eau de Parfum current formulation distribution by Coty. It's very green in the opening. It's an ambery green opening. What you smell here, of course, there's that warmth trickling through already at the from the get-go, but nevertheless, don't forget that green, those green head notes. And what are those green head notes? Let's get to them. We got vanilla. Now, vanilla in the head notes is rare. Usually vanilla is at the bottom notes. And guess what? This one has vanilla also in the base notes. So it's a double vanilla. So the vanilla is trying to tame the green notes. What are the green notes in the opening? We got basil, bergamot, mandarin orange, green notes, peach, and lemon. The peach and the vanilla are what tame down a little bit all that greenness. And the greenness is, it's zesty in a way. This is not something that right out of the bottle immediately captivates you. And this is a good sign, you guys. You don't always need fragrances that are super pleasant and appeasing the second you spray them on. Really good perfumes take their time to meld together with your skin, with your hormonal balance, with your essential oils, the essential oils of your own skin. And then when they merge together with that, you know, a couple of hours, maybe even later, you get the full bloom of that fragrance. And that's what Obsession delivers, even in its current formulation made by Coty, which I might add has also, you know, nowadays you can find it very cheap. If you know where to look, this one is considered a cheapie. It wasn't cheap back in the day when it came out. It was very expensive. It was so beautiful. The presentations of the perfume stands in perfume stores that sold Obsession, it was like another world. It felt like space age all over again. It was really, really that wonderful and detailed and very well curated. Calvin Klein's team did an incredible job in marketing this fragrance and developing the bottles, the packaging, the artistry around it. You know, all of the packaging is made out of paper and cardboard, and it's dented and pressed in, and it has a texture to it. Of course, the newly released bottles, the packaging is just a glossy paper, but this actually has a texture. This is a very, very complex cardboard and paper, and the cut and the way it's all glued together and the thickness of this cardboard, it's just highest quality of production. Look how thick it is, and inside there's different layers to it. And you see the texture. Look at the texture of this cardboard. It has this wonderful grain, like a I don't know, like a wooden, grainy, sandy texture to it. It's just so beautiful. Of course, they don't make it anymore like this. So this box is very, very, very special. I do have a first release. It's still sealed, so this is for the Fashion Bunker archives. It won't be opened. It's a still sealed Splash first edition European first edition bottle of 50 ml of the Eau de Parfum, the Splash bottle, which is literally the 50 ml version of that huge ginormous factice bottle that I showed you at the opening of this video. So this one has never been opened, and made in France, batch code 1661. This is the bottom of the box. And this is the back of the box. You can see that texture, that grainy texture of the cardboard. It's just so beautiful. So this is very rare to find. A still sealed. They also made 100 ml of these, but anyway, just to showcase for the purpose of this review, just to show you the variations and possibilities that exist of this perfume. Okay, now that some time has passed a little bit, it's still very intense. It's still very pungent green, but there's that amber kicking through already telling us it's all going to be fine. Give it some more time. It's going to mellow down into this beautiful ambery caramelly concoction. But the spices are struggling there. They're like, at the beginning, we're talking about Coty here. The spices are scratchy a little bit. And how can you avoid... Now, I'm not a big fan of the scratchy spicy aspect. For the purpose of the review of this video, I sprayed 3 times and relatively close to the skin. That's when you get the spices really amped up. I would never spray this perfume like this for myself without having to... I needed to spray it so close to my skin and so often on one spot because I need to not forget about the spices. I have to talk about the spices because if you do spray it too close, you're going to get that spicy note, which is very, very prominent. Even though those spices are listed in the mid notes, in the heart notes, you're still going to get them mixing with the green. They're going to bite. They won't bite, and they're not even going to show up if you spray it the way that I spray it when I normally wear it. That is from a big distance, just like you spray it like a little cloud, you know, and you just walk through it. That's how you avoid the spicy, more bitey notes, and you get straight down to the good stuff, which is in the middle notes: sandalwood, coriander, oak moss, cedar, orange blossom, jasmine, and rose. And then we go to the base notes with amber, incense, vanilla, civet, musk, vetiver. The civet and the musk, the civet is not the civet anymore in the current formulation. Obviously, it's not allowed to be used. I mean, at least in the European Union, you cannot use it. I think, yeah, definitely. IFRA does not allow that. And the oak moss is not listed anymore as an original oak moss in the current formulation. However, because America does not abide by the IFRA regulations, if you find an Obsession made in the USA, you flip the bottle, the box, the packaging of it, and you're going to notice listed oak moss. Not in Europe, though. So the same perfume does exist, produced in different continents still today. Small batches are still produced in the US, some, and they do have oak moss. It's a slightly different formulation worldwide, which I also find very, very fascinating. But this is something that is really cool also because, I mean, Calvin Klein is, after all, an American designer, and Obsession was born as an American fragrance. Landed in the heart of the 80s, 1985, 4 years after Giorgio Beverly Hills was released, which determined the pace. Giorgio Beverly Hills, which landed on the American perfume landscape and then subsequently the world landscape in 1981, defined completely the decade of the 80s. Until Obsession came along. Because the big shoulder pads that came along with Giorgio Beverly Hills, the huge coiffed hair with a lot of hairspray, and the Madonna like a virgin look, that whole vibe of the 80s, the bigger the shoulder pads, the better, that was all annihilated. Blown out of the park when this baby landed in the middle of the 80s with its... The first advertisement for this one was the most abstract perfume commercial ever made. In this abstract geometric architectural setting where there's these staircases that lead to nowhere, a white space in black and white with no walls, and this family sitting playing chess, and this guy is jealous of a girl, the girl is jealous of a guy, he has an affair with 2 of them. There's an older dude analyzing the situation. Everything is super abstract, like a theater play with no logic, no apparent logic, a lot of confusion. She slaps the guy and, you know, says, I don't know, something like, I want you, or something, and then she goes away. He looks back, and then this other guy looks into the camera and says, Obsession, oh, the smell of it. You know, it's super funny. And the advertisement sent pop culture into a frenzy. The Golden Girls even commented, you know, the sitcom, The Golden Girls, they even comment. There's a scene in which Dorothy, B. Arthur, talks to, I think, Rose, Betty White, or Estelle Getty, which is Sophia, and says they were talking about not understanding something. And then I think Rose asked her, what do you mean, obsession? What? It was, I guess, obsession in relationship to some relationship for real. And then, or something, I can't remember. But anyway, B. Arthur says, or Dorothy says, you know, I can't make anything out of what the new obsession commercial is all about. So it came into pop culture, into society so virulently that it was commented upon in the news, on television, in the movies. That's how powerful the social reference of obsession was within the world. And it aches my heart that nowadays it is not considered anything anymore. You can't find, for the love of me, a decent review on YouTube of this fragrance. Now, when I was planning my review, this is how I found, by the way, you should check out Simi's YouTube channel, Asian Delight. I found out her YouTube channel thanks to Obsession, because I was looking for somebody who had made a decent review of this perfume, and nobody had, until I found Simi's channel. And Simi's Asian Delight, I'll put her channel in the link underneath this video. When she talks about obsession, she talks about obsession with an obsession in her voice. She knows what she's talking about because she lived it back then. She felt it back then. She understands the difference between the different formulations. She talks about it in connection to her life and the obsessions and passions in her life. And that's what delivers this review of this hot, steamy, but warm and caressing at the same time fragrance, which really, from generation to generation, we forget our peers. We forget who inspired our ancestors, our fathers, maybe even us 20 years ago. We forget. We tend to forget because we have the attention span of fruit flies, because that's the society we live in nowadays. And it is a pity, you know, and that's why I'm here to try to bring a memory of this perfume back, to try to bring back the respect to this perfume, because it deserves a lot of respect. This was so groundbreaking. It opened the doors to all the other concoctions that were going to come in the 90s and the 2000s. A lot of them have to say thank you to Obsession, because the way this one is balanced and the way it talks to you, the way it whispers at you, the way it slaps you, the way it screams at you, the way it kisses you, the way it makes love to you, it does all of these things. It's an obsession after all. The name is warranted. This is an obsession for a reason. It's addictive. It's almost narcotic. It is, you smell dunes and faraway lands, and you're in the Middle East, but then all of a sudden you're in Asia, but then you're in Japan, and then you're back in Europe, then you're in America, then you're in New York, then all of a sudden you're in Washington, and then you're in Hawaii. It just makes you travel all over the world because it smells of world. It doesn't smell of one country, of one particular population, of one particular society. Calvin Klein managed, or Mr. Guichard managed to encapsulate a mood of an entire decade in one bottle. It's incredible. This one does not get the respect it merits nowadays. You know, all of the big perfume reviewers out there, nobody gives this one the minute of the day. Nobody. Nobody says how incredible Obsession is. And I have to say, Coty, you're not always good at what you do. Especially with, you know, cheaping out on things and toning stuff down and watering stuff down and bailing out on certain ingredients, you know, just to save money or to make a bigger profit. But you did not do Obsession dirty. You did it good. You did good by it. Coty, you did a great job. I do not know. This is the made in France formulation. I'm reading in the chat section that there have been bottles surfacing by Coty made in Spain. I do not know how that one smells. I can talk to you about this one. This is batch code number 9043, made in France, distribution Coty. So I can talk about this one. So if you find this one in this batch code, you're good to go, because that's the one Dacob reviewed as well. It's mind-blowing. Nothing else smells like it. Nothing. Now, I know if we read these ingredients on their own, of course, there's a bunch of perfumes with spices in it. There's a bunch of perfumes with basil in it, with coriander, with oak moss, cedar, orange blossom. None of these ingredients is special. I mean, we've seen them in 1,000 other perfumes. It's not about the single ingredients. Dissected, each single individual ingredient is what it is. But put together, so masterfully blended, this one delivers a wonderful, wonderful blend of what the 80s were, a synthetic world of, again, high shoulder pads, this and that. Synthetic world, artificiality was at the forefront. It unites that with nature. And this is why I say it blows out of the park. The shoulder pads, let's get back to it. The commercials were incredible. Now, especially in the 90s, because most of the time when you think about the Obsession commercial, you think about Kate Moss. She came a bit later. She was not the face of Obsession when it was first released in 1985. She came a bit later. But she enhanced even more this vision of Obsession, this nature, these black and white advertisements and film or television commercials that were not just black and white. They had a slight sepia tint to them, not even sepia, like a sandy black and white color. Delicious to watch, and stripped of the saturation that the 80s were representative of, this oversaturated color, stripped of the shoulder pads, of the opulent, decadent Byzantine clothing. I mean, she's naked in that video. It's just bare skin and just washed hair, white, sleek, you know, combed backward. She was very young back then, one of her first gigs that made her world famous. And she's just looking into the camera, whispering, obsession, obsession, obsession. And this guy's following her obsessively, trying to film her, photograph her. And in fact, the photographer they were dating at the time, he actually took her there. They were somewhere in Italy doing these shots, and their relationship, and you could see the love, the tension, the eroticism, that she's so into him, and she's just literally like a fox, or like a wild animal. Kate Moss in that commercial, she's looking at the camera, vulnerable but crazy at the same time. You have the feeling she could at any moment snap and kill the guy photographing her, but that tension is kept always balanced. She's looking at him, she knows he's obsessed with her, and she plays along, and she's obsessed with him too. And that's what this perfume is. It's this constant balance. It could tear you up into bits, but it keeps you intact. It does not attack. It keeps you intact. It protects you. It cocoons you. But you become obsessed with it because it is heat within a cool dome. A glass dome, very futuristic, very space age, actually, very late 60s in the visual conceptuality of it, not in the smell portion of it, because in the 60s, nothing smelled like this. Nothing came out that smelled even close to this. Nothing ever smelled close to this. This is a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, a stroke of genius, which hasn't been repeated since, honestly. That glass dome keeps everything cool, keeps that hot core at the center cool, and you're fluctuating somewhere in between these plants, these rays of light, this temperature balance. You're fluctuating in outer space, and you have this artificial balloon created, or this cocoon where there's, you know, nature is there for you, preserved. You get to live your best life. You're protected, but you are in outer space at the same time. And there is, well, the sun or some other star that's kind of giving some sort of light to this glass dome that under which you're living in space. And there's danger out there. You know, space, there's no life in space. So if that glass dome were to break, you were probably going to perish. But the glass dome doesn't break. It's a similar structure to this. It's like being the inside of this bottle, and you have this kind of dome covering you, and you're protected. And inside of here, there's everything, all of life, everything you need is in there, preserved for you. But you know that outside of that cocoon, nothing is alive. Nothing works. Nothing works in your favor. And that's exactly the feeling this perfume gives me. I cocoon myself when I wear it, and that's why, in particular for 2020, this one really gave me so many positive vibes. And I mean, I used up half a bottle of this really intense fragrance. And I mean, the color of the juice says it all. It's that intense. It cocoons you, it lulls you to sleep, it makes you feel good, it makes you feel yummy. Not the type of gourmand yummy that you would say, oh, this perfume smells like food, like pastries, I want to eat it. No. This one does have that vanilla in the top, vanilla in the bottom, the amber in between. It does go into that very futuristic, mind you, but it does go into that oriental smell. But nevertheless, I mean, this is a chypre. I mean, guys, it has the oak moss, it has the bergamot. I'm sure it has the labdanum somewhere in there. It's a very, very futuristic chypre in many ways. It's an oriental chypre in many ways. And also it is a powdery, sandy, milky, caramelly, buttery creature that is imbued not with gourmand flavors, but it's imbued with an irisy type of musky, powdery note. It's dry, it's sandy dry. It's like a dry sand, but the sand is amber color, it's beige color, it's brown color, it's gold color. And you constantly are enveloped. You're swimming in this ocean that is protected by this dome. Then you go out and then you're on the sandy beach. There's this light hitting you. You don't know really from where because it's artificial, but it's there. But you are in outer space and it's so dangerous to be there, but you still feel so safe. You feel so safe and you feel like everything is going to be okay. And this is why, but at the same time, it's stripped down to the core. How can something so opulent, this is the magical obsession, I believe, how can something so opulent, so majestic, at the same time feel so stripped down to the core? That's exactly what this is. It is a duality, it is a paradox, it's a total paradox. It smells of everything, it fulfills you completely. Every olfactory ounce of your being is fulfilled when you smell this. But at the same time, it feels so essential. It feels stripped down to the core. It feels like it has only one note in it. And that note is obsession. We should definitely call it like, oh, there's one ingredient in obsession. What is that ingredient? It's obsession. Nothing else smells like it. It's just that mesmerizing, magnetic. And to see, you know, that it's not given the merit it deserves today. It's beyond me. I do not understand why. And still today, even though, you know, they cheapened out on this lid, it's not an integrated sprayer, it's still so beautiful. I still find it so futuristic, incredible. Let's go to, I mean, this one, this is the original one, you guys. This is the Pure Perfume. What can we say about this gorgeous, beautiful bottle? So I'm gonna open this up. Super scared. So you twist the lid open. I'm super scared of spilling it. I don't want to waste one single droplet of this. And I'm going to put it here where, you know, people usually snort tobacco because there's a lot of pulse here. The pulse heats up the tobacco in this area. So it's also always good to test perfume here as well, if you do have a dabber, to dab it on here where the pulse area is. That's a very, very, oh my God, you guys. Sure, the top notes are slightly off, but because it's normal with citruses, they can't last forever. But it doesn't matter. Let me just close it properly. Because we don't want to spill one single droplet of this. Oh my gosh. And still, I have to say, Coty, you did a great job. You did a great job because the Pure Perfume, it's more creamy and it's less spicy. There's less of that spice to bite you. So the pure perfume goes straight down into, my mouth is watering, into those warm, honeyed, ambery, caramelly dunes of civet, vanilla, musk, musk over musk over musk, vetiver, oak moss, cedar, sandalwood, coriander, rose, jasmine, orange blossom. Oh my gosh. It keeps going deeper and deeper. It's like Alice in Wonderland. You know that scene when Alice falls down the rabbit's hole or somewhere, and then she keeps falling and falling and falling, and more hands touch her as she's falling and falling. And she's upset, but also, you know, because the book is quite different from the Disney movie or cartoon, obviously, because it's about growing up and discovering your own sexuality, actually. Disney did not want to go there, but the book did. There's pleasure in that falling. There's pleasure in falling and abandoning yourself to somebody else controlling your fall. And the pure perfume, it's like, oh, you just want to fall. You want to let yourself fall. And the difference to the eau de parfum is, of course, this one has that spicy, bitey, slightly screechy opening, which I say you can avoid by spraying it from a distance rather than too close to the skin. But again, this one reaches the perfume, the parfum, later on during the dry down. This one takes more time for those spices to let go of you. But yeah, the pure perfume from the get-go, it's that delicious, delicious fall, and you just want to fall. You want to fall. Does that make any sense? And especially in 2020, God knows, the only thing we want to do really, and the only I want to do now is just like abandon myself to something where I can feel safe, where I can feel like abandoning myself is exactly the right thing to do. Because if I close my eyes, I don't have to worry that tomorrow when I reopen them, the world might not exist anymore. When I close my eyes, this one makes me feel like everything is going to be okay. When you wake up tomorrow, things are going to be even better than they were today. That's Obsession by Calvin Klein. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'm going to go to my wonderful, wonderful fellow chatters, my fellow co-reviewers. About the bottle, yeah, the factice is enormous. Yasmina girl, true. Here in Europe, it was very famous in the mid-90s. Yeah, it came later in Europe than it did in America. All good now. Amber is my favorite note, says Dondism. Oh, this amber is so delicious. Remember those crazy iconic Obsession commercials they used to make fun of Saturday Night Live? Well, yeah, they all made fun of them, but that's what I mentioned in the video. John Vox, hello, how you doing? Hello, my favorite YouTuber. Oh, thank you so much, John. Thank you. Welcome to the live review of Obsession. Lanyard, really smart, sophisticated packaging is such a thrill. With a new fragrance for me. I am a sucker for design and packaging and bottle design. Me too, totally. And Lanyard Pierre Dinant is, I mean, you guys, Pierre Dinant designed this. This is Pierre Dinant, the opium pure perfume bottle. Are you kidding me? This man is a genius. Honestly, you either love it or you don't. But to me, this is just, it doesn't get any better than this, you guys. Just don't. Lanyard says, it is part of the glamour that prepares one for the opening and unfolding of the fragrance, like an overture to a great opera, play, or film. Oh, Lanyard, your words are always poetry. Johnny says, poetry, Lanyard, always, always. Lanyard is a poet. Dundism, wow, oak moss is not allowed in the EU. Oak moss is allowed in the EU in like 0.01%, it's super small quantities, but they're using synthetic oak moss. And yes, Emilio says, yes, the IFRA made their own synthetic version of oak moss and they want to sell it. Exactly. So they're making the original oak, the natural oak moss, trying to make it as illegal as possible so that they can sell their own version of it. Aperol Spritz says, IFRA is a big scam, it seems. Oh, it does seem. It does seem. IFRA is the absolute worst, the literal, yeah, sham. Nicole, Giorgio smelled like the sea. It does, actually. Giorgio reminds me of being by the seashore, Giorgio Beverly Hills. It does have that salty note. I will be reviewing Giorgio Beverly Hills too, by the way, soon. So we're gonna go to that seashore relatively soon. We're gonna travel there together, you guys. Lanier says, God, I have such a great story about going into Giorgio Beverly Hills, in the 1980s. It involves Annette Funicello, a mink bomber jacket, and Ray Milan. Wow, Lanier, do tell. That's fantastic. Love it, Lanier, says Nicole. So Lanier says, I was there in the day when Obsession came into the worlds. I was indeed the biggest, it was indeed the biggest debut, possibly since number 5 in the 1920s. Yeah, it really was. Mike G says, it's mind-boggling, I know. Lanier says, of course, I felt the same when opium came about. That was also a cultural earthquake. Opium was a huge cultural earthquake. And the same guy designed the bottles for both of them. Watching from Dubai, love you. Oh, thank you, Miguel, and welcome to the live stream. We don't talk about that very often. Mike G says, about Obsession. Amy B says, yes, Obsession is a very nostalgic scent for me. Mike G says, I'm obsessed with the oldies. Just another Roger. I have so much respect for Calvin Klein. Obsession is also the first perfume my husband gave to me until I lost the first bottle over the years of moving from place to place. Obsession never smells cheap. It never does. Lanier Smith, me too, Mike. The classic are timeless and worth seeking out. They should be talked about more and cherished. I could not agree more with you, Lanier. We're looking for the chat. A brave scent, Mike G says. Some newer scents are giving a little of the magic those classics kept undercover for so long. That's a good point. Just a little bit of the magic and some like zero magic of what others had in abundance in the past. The flankers have something to share. I just wish they would hurry with more. Holding off any longer for a new edition is a hot challenge. Yeah. Some have layers that scare even me. And a richness, the fragrances. Johnny says, just watch the 1985 commercial. Very interesting. Oh, it's super fascinating, Johnny. Good that you watched it. The message is there, visually stunning, but a positive awe inspiration. Exactly. You have to give into it. To the perfume. Lanier says, okay, damn it, Dacob, I just ordered a bottle. Review eminent. Oh, I'm so happy, Lanier. I cannot wait for you to review it. Dondism. Laughing, Lanier. Yeah, me too. Hello. Oh, Dondism bought it too. I'm a good salesperson, I guess. I review a perfume and people are... But guys, you will not make a mistake. Obsession. Thank you for holding this gathering, Super Dacob. Mike G says, thank you, Mike, for joining us. We'd be lost without you. Oh, smelling like a king. It's all right to let go. Oh, thank you, Mike. Time to Musk Up says, because Obsession isn't considered a panty dropper and a compliment getter, so people don't care. And it doesn't smell like a gallon of shower gel. That is so true. And it does not get you the compliments, but that's a good thing. Perfumes that get you compliments means that they're just, well, massively appealing. Well, that's never a good sign. That means you smell like anybody else. Elania says, I'm so glad I joined the live stream tonight. I've missed this and didn't realize how much. Oh, stop. I will begin to sound like Norma Desmond on the soundstage at Paramount. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. Emilia says, the pure perfume is less sweeter than the eau de parfum. And in the dry down, you realize it's an ode to opium and youth dew. And then everything goes back to Shalimar. To me, it doesn't go to Shalimar, though. Not at all. But it's so beautiful. It's amazing how it has elements of all those perfumes, and yet it smells nothing like them, Emilio says. So right. Mike G. Oh, that's a good one. Truth is stranger than fiction. Of course, truth is stranger than fiction. Do you know why? Because we generate fiction. We write fiction. So fiction is limited by our mind. And our mind always is quite simple when compared to truth. Truth is beyond our mind. Truth is something that is above us. We cannot manipulate it. Otherwise, it's not truth anymore. Otherwise, it's a lie. If you manipulate the truth, it's a lie. So fiction is not strange because it's very human. But the truth is often not human. That's why it's strange to us, because we're not used to it. We cannot control it. Wonderful review, Dacob, says Amy. Thank you so much, Amy. This just the opening. What comes after is satisfying, says Mike G. A poetic understanding. It's like a sea of freedom, says Mike G. Oh, well said. Let it flow, Mike said. Lanier says, really, we need to return to class in fragrance and fashion as they were in classics. I am so over ripped jeans and t-shirt fragrances. Call me old-fashioned. I don't care. LOL. Oh, Lanier. Yes. As the Brits and the parliament would say, here, 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 here. Everyday Products is all I want is panty dropper or nothing. Oh my God, you guys. Well, this will do it for you. Amy B says, same, Lanyard. Give me a proper perfume any day. Nicole says, I'm still big. It's the pictures that got small, Norma Desmond. This is our Norma Desmond, you guys. Today, this is our Norma Desmond. Obsession is our Norma Desmond. Still big, but the other perfumes got small. Lanier says, fiction is control. Fiction is abandoned energy. Just another Roger. I wonder if Job Le Bon was inspired from CK Obsession at a Parfum. Not exactly the same, but I get the same vibe. Not so sure. Lanier says, that came out wrong. Truth is abandoned energy. And injury. I didn't think you meant energy. Yeah. So, thank you guys so much for your zesty comments. I'm loving that you're also so passionate about obsession, because it's just amazing. It's just amazing. I mean, and you know, I've been wearing it so long. I can tell you also, let's go to the dry down quickly. When you do decide to abandon yourself to this, you fall. And it's almost as if feathers are caressing you in the dry down. And those feathers, they are so crisp, soft but crystalline at the same time, and powdery and textured and suave and imbued in amber. But they're not wet. They're dry. It's a paradox. They are dry, but these feathers at the same time are... They're not sticky, but they feel moist. They feel full. They're very full and fulfilling, and they just envelop you. And all of a sudden, it's like you have these feathers all over you, and you can fly. So that abandoning yourself and falling deeper, 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 all of a sudden, you just rise up like the phoenix out of your own ashes, of your own abandonment, and you soar. And obsession allows you to soar. That's the beauty of it. And you break that dome, and you break out of that dome into space, and you realize, I don't need oxygen to breathe. That dome protecting me? Unnecessary. I thought I was going to suffocate if the dome would break and space would just suck me out. But no, I'm good. I can soar. I can go further and further and further. It's limitless. That's Obsession by Calvin Klein. Where is it? 1985, you guys. One of the big loves of my life. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've liked this review, and I hope you've liked also the comments of my wonderful co-reviewers in the chat section. This was the first time that I pre-announced ahead of time that I would be reviewing this perfume, so people could also get their own bottles and review it with me along with their comments. Thank you so much. Lanier says, obsession is passion and passion is obsession. Bravo, Dacob. Oh, thank you so much, Lanier. John Vox sends a heart. Just another Roger. Emilio, I will get that Job Fam because of you, because Emilio says Job Fam is amazing. Mike G, so glad I could be here. Yours is the gang that can liberate a new generation of eagles. Oh, thank you so much, Mike G. Emilio says, it's a great one. Skanky, Jasmine, Sandalwood, Aldehydes, and Civet. Lanier says, eagles and doves. Good night with you to the bottom line. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Let me put down the bottle. If you haven't already but wish to, consider subscribing to my channel here on YouTube. And also consider joining and becoming a member today. The join button is right next to the subscription button. Also, consider joining me on Patreon. As you can see on the side here are scrolling all my supporters, patrons, members, and the super chats. Thank you so much for that, guys. Also, don't forget, you can, if you become a member on Patreon, watch a special exclusive podcast of over 1 hour long every month that's made just for you. The first one is already out, and it is all about perfumes, esoteric perfumes, Ima Sumac and perfumes. If you don't know who she is, Google her, she's amazing. But also Carl Jung, the philosopher, and how he describes relationships and gender and fragrances and gender. So that's the podcast that's up now for the members and patrons. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Bye. Mwah.